Hey, how's it? It is that time again, 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 3 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Chatter with Statter. I am Mad Statter, and you are the Chatterbox crew, sometimes called the Statterbox crew. Either way, you're the one who makes up that crew that's hanging out here today at our usual time, our usual place. It looks like we've got Elaine in the house already. Thank goodness. How you doing, Elaine? Good to see you. Time got a little bit away from me today, and lo and behold, at like 3 minutes till 5, I looked at the clock and said, it's 3 minutes to 5. Maybe I better start getting ready. Good thing there was some prep that we did last night, so let's get this party started. Perfect. Looks like Rick has slid into the hallway, and we've got Cindy Krause as well, along with Elaine. All right, the crew is starting to filter on in just like I love it. All right, so it is the Olympics, this season, as it were, the Winter Olympics. And as mentioned last Chatter with Statter, there was a roller derby queen who has since gone on to win some wonderful gold medals there at the Olympics. Hey, Marmac, good to see you. Looks like eMusic is sliding in to say K, and that's cool. We all love our K crew, and Rick is double checking with our gear. We have the gear and we get to adjust it, so that is awesome. That's exactly what we like to hear today. Perfect. So, seems like we got some smooth sailing. Famous last words, huh? Yeah, all right. We'll probably regret saying that, but that's okay. That is okay, because so far, so good. All right, so if you were here for the last Statterbox at the cinema, no, that's not true. If you were here for the last Chatter with Statter, you might remember me going off about a wonderful, talented skater named Erin Jackson, and this is Erin Jackson right here. On the left, that is Erin Jackson for the Ocala Cannibals. Later on, went on to be part of the New Jacks Rollers for Jacksonville, Florida. And later on for that, even went on to be on Team USA for roller derby, competing in the first ever Roller Derby World Cup, which took place somewhere in England, but I'm not going to tell you where because I can't remember. But she was a skater in the roller derby community long before she was a skater in the Olympic community. That's actually not even true, because according to the WFDA, Women's Flat Track Derby Association website that I was researching last night, it was actually in 2015 and 2016 that Erin Jackson was still a roller derby superstar. And so basically, we're looking at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We're looking at 6 years difference between the sports. She went from roller derby 6 years ago to Olympic gold in a completely different speed skating, ice speed skating sport in 6 years worth of training. I have to say that is an amazing feat for any athlete. And as I mentioned in the last Chatter with Statter, my roller derby community, our roller derby community, the worldwide roller derby community is freaking out over Erin Jackson's gold win, and we just cannot be more proud of her. Looks like Darlene is coming in with some wavies, smiley faces, and palm trees. Wish it were a palm tree situation here, but nope, instead, we're not going to be talking about palm trees. We might be talking about some maple trees later. I'm hoping Vanilla Coke Pepsi shows face, because I've got some news for him that might lure him to the west coast of the United States. Let's see. So, actually, I guess, pardon me for getting distracted and checking out my notes. I guess what I'm going to do right now is share with you part of what this channel is all about. Darlene, you got it. And after I show this video that that I worked on this last week, we will get into the syrup, because the video actually kind of ties in to the syrup situation. And it looks like we've got Vomiting Goose in the house. Haven't seen you in a long time. So what is Vomiting Goose going to have to tell us? Fun fact number 1, did you know that if you were lost in the woods and you had 1 part ranch dressing and 2 4/5 Cheese Whiz, and you take that and you mix it with Ritz low sodium crackers and you wait 20 seconds on a full moon, then a bear will meet you by a certain tree and take said food offering. And if mixed correctly, the bear will lead you to a secret cove of other bears that can magically talk, and they will make you their king or queen, or both even. But you have to make sure that you have the 2 4/5 full of Cheese Whiz, right? Because if you have like a 2 4/6 worth of Cheese Whiz, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. So right, or else the bear will attack. It has to be the 2 4/5 containers of Cheese Whiz. And even if, and I'm gonna assume now, Vomiting Goose, like they have to equally, the containers need to be equally 4/5. You can't have like 5/5 and then like 3/5. And then it'd average 2 4/5, but that's not what that would be, right? Right. Okay. Not one drop off. Gotcha. Right. Okay. All right. Perfect. I think I've got this recipe down. I'm ready to be their queen. I'm ready to be their queen. Well, the video that I'm going to show has quite a bit of wooded footage, but alas, I don't think there's any bears. I don't think this is any bears. Pocola T, good to see you. And why does this sound like it was conceived while under the influence? Well, you know, it may be, but I'm not under the influence of anything right now, much to my chagrin. And I understood where he was coming from, so I'm not sure, you know, I guess you just have to be able to catch that vibe naturally. Lord knows I can probably do that at that point. I have enough things built up in my system that I can just bring them at will to become intoxicated. How about that? Yeah. So this video that, you have not taken a drink in 52 days, you'll pull these wonders out of your head all day long. Oh, good. Well, good for you. 52 days, that's quite a bit. I don't know if you're keeping track on purpose or if you just happen to know, but 50 days, right on. You went past your sober January. Granted, I don't know if you had you must have had a sober January at 52 days. I know that a lot of folks do sober January, so yeah, you went further past the January or goaler. So good for you there, Vomiting Goose. You've probably saved a couple bucks too. You know, whenever you end up quitting something, you've always got a couple extra bucks in your pocket. My stomach recently has let me know that coffee, no. And actually, I don't know if it's the coffee or if it's the half and half that I drink in the coffee, but either way, I'm just like, why don't I just, I don't know. I'm just like not gonna drink my coffee anymore. And lo and behold, saving like $5 a day on not having a coffee anymore is actually kind of handy. So not having a drink anymore, maybe it saved you a couple bucks a day. It's kind of handy. You're gonna shut up for the next 12 to 32 minutes so I can speak about this. Well, Vomiting Goose, first off, this is a chat show, so we got to keep the chatter going. So really, there is no such thing as too many words on this stream. But I do have a video that I would like to show you guys. Not that it's a work of art, because, well, it's not a work of art, which is part of the reason why I want to show it to you. For those of you who've been on this stream from the beginning, you know that this is a work in progress. You know that I don't know what I'm doing. You know that I'm not very tech savvy. I have no graphic design skills and very little video editing or video shooting prowess. So that's why I decided to do a live stream, right? Because I don't know how to do any of the things to make a produced show, so I can just go talk. But in all of the talking and everything, I am I am learning to do some of those things. And I'm not saying I'm learning quickly, and I'm not saying I'm doing them well, but I'm learning some of those things. And so last night I went with the inspiration for the maples, which we will talk about later. And I decided to edit down, very simple edit. The software that I'm using right now comes with the Windows. It's completely, you can't do any transitions. It's literally hard edit to hard edit. There's nothing fancy about this software. And I've got new software that is way more fancy that we will be learning. So we will be able to share better quality stuffuses. But right now, I'm busy doing tax stuff. And so I didn't really want to learn new stuffuses. So I was just learning basically last night how to cut content. So I went from like a 20-minute rough video down to 8 minutes, and I was kind of proud of myself. And so I thought I would share with you this masterpiece of not a very good masterpiece, not a masterpiece at all, really. But I learned how to do a couple things. I learned, don't do that again for a couple things. And the whole point of Chatter with Statter is showing off what we don't know how to do. And that, in the spirit of that, I'm going to show off what I don't know how to do. So here we have it. This is my... you've seen the raw footage, or maybe you haven't, but some of you may have seen the raw footage. This is the drive-through parts of my college campus, and oh my gosh, Vanilla Coke Pepsi shows face. Vanilla Coke Pepsi. This video was tangentially inspired by the topic that we're going to be talking about after this video. So if you can hang out, I've got something to tell you that might freak you right the heck out, man. But yeah, no, this is, Vanilla Coke Pepsi. This road does look like it could be Canadian, but it's not. It's actually in Olympia, Washington, where I went to college, and this is the road into the Evergreen State College. See, I slowed the video down right there a little bit, right? I slowed it up, and then we're going to go back to the regular speed. So that was fancy editing on my part, right? I learned how to do something. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, I don't know. You're going to be the one to decide if it's good or bad. I think that it is good, and it has nothing to do with the truck political situation in your country. It has everything to do with your beloved maple syrup. So I think you'll think it's good, but I don't know. You might be offended by what I'm gonna tell you. Yes. Picola T. Statter has mad editing skills. Yeah, I don't really know if they're mad editing skills, but they're skills that might make a real video editor mad. Yeah, that's it. See, once again, I slowed it down. The Evergreen State College. That's where we're at. As a Canadian, we don't get offended. We just apologize for our wrong beliefs. Nice. For your wrong beliefs, as it were. Yeah, there you go. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, you're actually drinking maple syrup right now. Well, I might have a new source for you. We will get to that in a little bit. But right now, we're taking a turn further into the depths of the Evergreen State College. Now, speaking of beginner everythings, so, okay, you notice, like, what is with this camera angle, right? This camera angle is actually a camera hanging from the bottom of my windshield, my rear view window, my rear view mirror. And so you get all sorts of weird reflections and a bad angle, because it jotted off there to the side a little bit. So annoying. I have since been gifted a much better camera mounting system for my car. But this footage was taken many months before I got that system. So this footage is all sorts of beginning. This footage is beginner footage on so many levels. Like, everything about this footage is, oh, let's learn to never do that again, basically. So if it's painful to watch, that's okay. It's supposed to be painful to watch. And yeah, there we go. See, did you see that fancy edit? We were someplace and now we're someplace different. Yeah, that's where I got lost. And so I edited out where I got lost. Yeah. Looks like Andre came in and was talking about something with the Canadian truck drivers. And I'm glad to see that Andre's in the house. Andre might not be able to hear me because oftentimes he is working. He is on the, what am I trying to say? He is on the subway and cannot hear what we're saying. He just can see what is being done in the chat. So, Vomiting Goose, thank you. Yeah, it is a calming drive. Yeah, Washington State, especially Western Washington, is so completely, well, it's evergreen. It is, yeah, so completely green. And one of the reasons why I wanted to show this footage is because there's some trees that I didn't get a very good picture of in this footage that we'll be talking about later, but I will mention them now, which is there are trees called big leaf maples. Big leaf maples are maple trees, what do you know, with really big leaves. They're also known as Oregon maples. And they get to be like 60, 70 feet tall. They're quite large. Yeah, the campus is basically full of these big leaf maples. And I'll see if I can find a good example of a big leaf maple. Well, actually, right there, hanging over the tree or the street, that was a big leaf maple. And Vomiting Goose, did I say that I was in roller derby? I did not. I was not a skater in roller derby, but I was a roller derby official for about 10 years. And I've worked with roller derby teams from across the world. I've worked with world champion roller derby teams. I've worked with local startup derby teams. I've been both an official and an announcer, so you definitely did hear that correctly, but not probably what you thought. So, I don't know what's going on with my Streamlabs, but it's got a really big red dot on it, and it makes me very nervous. So, yes, Picola T, this does look like Rickfoot territory. It does look like Rickfoot territory. And, yeah, Darlene, see, this is what we're gonna get into. We're gonna, when Vanilla Coke Pepsi asked, is it good or bad? I think it's good, but I think he'll think it's bad. And so, that's why I couldn't really answer. It's like, I don't know. Remains to be seen. Is it bad? I don't really know. I think Vanilla Coke Pepsi will have to be the one to decide. Oh yeah, Cindy Krause, that'd be awesome if you could get Darlene and Rick to get a road trip out to this area. We could do major Rickfoot videos. Yes, yes. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, Quebec maple trees are just superior and holds more sugar and sweetness due to the environment that the trees are in. Well, all that really means is you don't have to boil the sugar or the syrup as long because it's got more sugar content. There is more to a maple syrup than just the sugar content. And some of, apparently, the best maple syrup in the world does come from the United States. And not only does it come from the United States, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, I'm about to blow your mind. It comes from the West Coast. What? 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 West Coast? West Coast maple syrup? How is that a thing? Well, I'll tell you, it is a thing. And we're going to talk about it. Yeah, that's right. We have the West Coast Oregon maple, the big leaf maple. It actually has been known to be one of the finest producers of maple syrup in the world. Like, it is culinarily sought after over a lot of other syrups. The flavor. No, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, almost all American maple syrup is not West Coast. Most American maple syrup is the East Coast. It's Vermont, etc. A completely different species of trees. But a whole brand new maple syrup industry is being developed on the West Coast because people are finally starting to use the big leaf maples for the syrup production. Big leaf maples traditionally have been harvested for their wood, which, by the way, here, all right, so that is a big leaf maple. They're quite large. You can see that they come from one larger base, but then have many offshoots. Each offshoot can be tapped for maple syrup, or for the sap, that is. And to give you an idea of how big the leaves are and why they're called big leaf maple, well, these pictures might explain to you why they're called big leaf maples. And yeah, Vomiting Goose coming in with all of the details, etc. The big leaf maple, or Oregon maple, is a large deciduous tree in the genus Acer. Big leaf maples can grow up to 48.10 meters. That's 157 feet tall, but more commonly reach about 50 to 60 feet. And it's native to Western North America, mostly near the Pacific coast, from southernmost Alaska to Southern California. Exactly. Now, oh, hey, Ware, good to see you. Good to see you. Now, this particular one right here in the glorious tree right there is actually one of the largest big leaf maples in the world. Unfortunately, it has since fallen down due to internal rot and a storm. Nobody cut it down, and so, but that really huge one was in Oregon. But, and then these ones are, this is typically like, yep, that's how big the big leaf maples are. And Cindy Krause, your aunt's farm in Vermont. Okay, and so this picture, this picture in the tree that's basically center stage, that's by that pink, I wish we could go back, by the pink building, that was a picture taken from my video, a screenshot taken from my video. And that is in an apartment complex where I used to live, the apartment complex that I did the little loop-de-loop in the video. And yeah, this one right here is in Tacoma, Washington. This was the biggest one in the world in Oregon, but it has since fallen down. And yeah, Darlene, the flippin' flirpin' leaves and the flippin' flirpin' trees are amazingly huge. Yeah, so let's see here. Those Washington maple collectors kind of have a Matrix kind of feel, perhaps. So, let's see here. So I'll get to Vomiting Goose's fun fact in just a minute, but okay, this is the picture. This picture came from the video that we just watched. And that picture that's center stage is a big leaf maple, and basically the campus is filled with them. This is a big leaf maple from the Olympic National Park in Washington, and then this one is just some random big leaf maple in Tacoma, Washington. So as you can see, totally large trees, as it were. So now we're gonna go to what do you do with maple? So before they figured out you could make syrup out of it, they were just harvesting maple trees for their wood. They've got a bunch of different kind of veneers. You got your regular grain, your burl figure, your curl figure. And so the wood itself is extraordinarily prized for things like electric guitars. So if you have a Fender that's maple wood, there's a good chance that it came from one of these trees. Big leaf maple trees, as it were. As you can see, these trees can get to be flippin' flirpin' huge. They are a hardwood. But in order to get the trees to be flippin' flirpin' huge, it does take quite some time, etc., etc. And so the industry for maple trees is much like much of the timber industry in the Western Washington area, which is cut it down. Well, I think we all know what happens when you cut everything down, right? Exactly. And so, yeah, Darlene, exactly. The grain is gorgeous, and it does make beautiful furniture, like this weird piece that this thing right here. Look at that weird, I don't even know what you call that grain. I mean, curly? I mean, I don't know what, but yeah, it's got some craziness. So let's see here. So that's the deal with the big leaf maple. And like I said, it until recently was just, they were just cutting down the trees for wood. But now they have since realized that, that you can tap them, and actually, some of these trees can produce up to 200 liters of sap in 1 week. And the cool thing about them is you don't necessarily have to wait for them to get to be full maturity in order to tap them for their sap. In fact, the younger trees are generally easier to tap. There's more sap flow usually, and then also the bark isn't as thick, I guess. So I know, Vomiting Goose, that is a lot of sap. 200 liters in 1 week is a lot. And yeah, Pukola T, I wouldn't be surprised if you've driven past that giant maple in Tacoma's North End several times. I don't know if that picture was taken in the North End, but you and I both know that picture was taken in the North End. So I think that it's safe to assume that you probably have. So now, while you guys are looking at the pretty wood, I'm going to talk about what Vomiting Goose just said, and I'm reading it for the first time. So, fun fact number 2. Did you know that if you were to stand in your head during an earthquake and tilt your right leg to a 30-degree angle, while speaking the lyrics from Maria, West Side Story, 5 times backwards before the earthquake ends, a portal will open up below you and you will come out the other side to a small planet in the second galactic quadrant, 90 degrees, something, blah, 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 180 degrees, I don't know what that means, where you will find the Riti people that have been battling the magic Cheese Whiz Bears of the Earth for the last 2,000 years. Oh, but you better only do that if you're the king of the Cheese Whiz Bears, because if you're not the king, I don't really know what they're not gonna, I don't really know what they're gonna do. I mean, you need to be the king if you're gonna go visit them on that second quadrant, 180 degrees, right? I mean, I don't know. We'll have to discuss the hierarchies and the possibilities of what happens to someone who doesn't control those bears making that trip through the portal. But that's a topic for a different day. Today we're here to piss off Vanilla Coke Pepsi. And Vanilla Coke Pepsi, maplewood is actually common here for cutting boards and small wooden furniture. Maple in general, both there's hard maple and there's soft maple. But yeah, maple of all types is used for furniture. But as it turns out, I guess the big leaf maple, the West Coast kind, is particularly sought after for electric guitars more so than other varieties of maple, which was kind of weird. But here's the deal. So, Andre, can you make syrup from Japanese maple? I would be willing to bet that you possibly could, but Japanese maples are really tiny, so there's probably only a small amount of sap flow, which would sort of prohibit the economic factor of it. I do know that for the big leaf maple, I was reading it takes about 120 gallons of sap just to make 1 gallon of syrup. And part of the reason why it takes so many gallons of sap to make so little syrup is because, unlike the East Coast maple trees that are in Vermont and Quebec, as Vanilla Coke Pepsi pointed out, those trees have a higher sugar content, or those saps, excuse me, have a higher sugar content, and so it doesn't, say, I mean, it still takes a fork ton of sap to make 1 gallon of East Coast maple syrup. Probably like it'd take 100 gallons to make 1 gallon, whereas it takes 120 gallons to make 1 gallon of the West Coast. The West Coast sap isn't as sweet. It doesn't have quite as high of sugar content. It's a little bit higher in water, but they've figured out how to fix that. And so now I'm going to, get to my face. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the news article, or the news story about this guy in Washington who basically is, for the most part, single-handedly bringing the big leaf maple syrup industry to the state of Washington. Now, to be clear, he is not the inventor of big leaf maple syrup by any stretch. In fact, there has been in Canada, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, on Vancouver Island in a town called Duncan, there is the Big Leaf Maple Syrup Festival that happens every January or February. I'm not sure if it's happening this year, because, things. So, so the guy in Washington is not the only one doing this, but he is basically helping to build an industry that is a different sort of forestry industry, in the sense of what we're used to here is cutting the trees down. We don't generally have a forest industry in Western Washington that has anything to do with maintaining the trees. It's all about cutting the trees down and planting new trees to cut them down later. And so so this is kind of a nice turn of events, as it were. So and where back in the day, folks around here all had sap houses for boiling down of sap. Can't never do the boiling inside the house because it's a messy process. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to have the sugar shack. Let's see here. And Vanilla Coke Pepsi, you have gone to a maple syrup festival every year except the last few. They're all over Canada. Yeah, but this isn't a maple syrup festival. This is a big leaf maple syrup festival. Totally all about the West Coast big leaf maple. And so they are slowly figuring out how to do it. And let's see here. And so let's go watch what I stole from our local news. Okay, sorry, we're gonna have to deal with a commercial. That sort of sucks. Sorry about that, guys. You can get Comcast, they say. Yeah, go get Comcast. Or not. I don't need you to get Comcast. All right, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, I'm going up.
Neil McLeod has been up since 3 o'clock this morning, turning sap from big leaf maple trees into maple syrup.
The closer it gets to actual syrup, the less steam you're going to have.
10 years ago, no one thought this was possible.
I think I've taken it from being impossible, not just at a hobby level. This year I've proven that it can be done at a commercial level. I'm going to go up to 220.4 degrees.
This year, Neil's Big Leaf Maple Syrup Company will produce hundreds of gallons that is quickly snapped up by chefs and consumers alike.
We're selling out as fast as we make it, pretty much.
But Neil's company and its high-tech sugar house didn't happen overnight.
You want just a little bit coming at a time, and then
It's taken the better part of a decade for him to figure it out.
So Neil, how did you learn how to do all this?
YouTube and books, and a lot of mistakes along the way.
Neil found out making syrup on the West Coast is nothing like the way they do it back east. The sap flows here are more spread out, and the sap you do get has about half the sugar.
First year, I had such a hard time getting any sap, and all of a sudden I drilled a tree, and it came pouring out. That year we made maybe a half a pint of kind of weak syrup, but we got really good at it, within a couple of years.
And that kind of just grew from that moment. 2,500 taps I think we have right now in a couple different locations. We have a sugar maple tap.
Neil's son Devin took us to the woods nearby to show us how it all works.
We'll tap each tree. That all comes back over these main lines, which then collect right here.
Miles of food-grade lines lead to holding tanks outside the sugar house.
If you're looking at a single tree, it's like watching paint dry because you can see the little bubbles slowly moving. But you get down to the end where they've all come to a concentrated point, and there's some days where it's just, it's pouring in.
The sap is then put through a reverse osmosis machine that filters out pure water, leaving the sap more concentrated. That way you don't have to boil it as long.
Okay, you ready to try some?
I have to be honest here. What you're about to see,
Careful, it'll be hot.
is what I've been waiting for ever since I heard about Neil.
That is fantastic.
It is good, isn't it?
It's buttery and toffee and
Exactly.
gorgeous. It's hard to believe that came out of a maple tree.
Here we go.
From here, the syrup is filtered and bottled by Neil's nephew, Andrew.
So every batch that you do, does it taste a little bit different from every other batch?
That is Neil's wife, Delight,
I'm going to be so hopped up on sugar after this.
Oh boy, yeah, don't take your blood sugar, okay?
who takes us next door to the kitchen to try some samples.
This one is medium dark,
Oh, that's good.
and this one isn't molassesy, but it's really thick.
I also tried it in coffee, which was amazing.
Cheers.
Today's like a perfect day.
That reputation is what caught the attention of Kent Weiler.
This one's running.
He's a forest products researcher at the University of Washington.
They're all running great.
He applied for and received a federal grant from the USDA to study big leaf maple syrup production.
We're trying to collect enough information about how sap flows and when it flows and how to take care of it and how to produce syrup that other landowners in the state can use that data to make decisions.
It's too early to tell if more Washington landowners will get into the maple syrup business, but Kent says right now there is no doubt it's good for the environment.
This is a way for a landowner to keep their forests as forests.
When it comes to the value of these maple trees, it's not just about the syrup. They take carbon out of the atmosphere. Their huge canopies help cool the earth. They also provide food for birds and bees. And it's that idea that Neil and his family hope catches on.
It's an exciting, thought that you can profit from agroforestry in a different way than cutting the forest down.
So where do you hope this industry goes?
I hope it becomes an industry. Maybe 20 years from now they put a big bronze statue of me out in the woods. That's what I'm aiming at.
It all started here.
And there I am looking down.
You booked a sunny Verbo ski chalet.
I was muted in two places. I unmuted where I was muted, but I still needed to unmute where I was muted. But I think I'm unmuted now. Thanks, guys. Gotta keep me on a short leash. All right, so that was the scoop on the West Coast Washington style big leaf maple syrup. And so it sounds like though, okay, so it sounds like we've got the West Coast situation with the maple syrup. Then we've obviously got the Canadian and the East Coast situation, well, with Quebec and Vermont. But it sounds like, so Anne was saying that there used to at least be sugar shocks in her area, Minnesota area, which kind of makes sense because it gets super cold in Minnesota. And so I would think that they're at least vaguely similar to what Quebec has to offer in regards to climate. Now, not necessarily the same soil stuff, but Anne, like, so are there, like, so what's the scoop with the maple trees in your area? And then Cindy Krause, for the life of me, I cannot remember. I know that you've mentioned it before, but when you were saying that your old farmhouse back on the East Coast, the family farmhouse on the East Coast had it, was your farmhouse in Vermont? I want to say it was like in Connecticut or Rhode Island. Where were your people? Yeah, eMusic, good to see you. We are talking about, gosh, I didn't even see you coming on in. I'm so sorry. There we go. Yeah, eMusic, we are talking about maple syrup and vanilla Coke Pepsi. As we all know, if we've hung out here long enough, vanilla Coke Pepsi likes to imbibe. He likes to take a little tipple, a little drink, a little swig of that maple syrup there that Canada has to offer. And so I was just trying to show him and everyone that Canada is not the only place that does the maple syrups. We've got a completely different version over here, totally different tree, because on the East Coast, you know, they've got like what they call sugar maple because it's super sweet sap. Well, over here, we've got a big leaf maple because it's got really big leaves. Isn't it funny how these names come about? Yeah, and so now Anne, though, is saying that there's lots of syrup up in Minnesota, too, even though we don't think of Minnesota necessarily as a syrup-making community. So, Anne, I don't expect you to know this because this is a really obscure topic, but I am curious, do you know what kind of maple trees they've got in Minnesota? Because I guess there's the sugar maple, and then there's the red maple, and then there's maybe even the black maple, and all of them can be used to make maple syrup, maybe, I think. Oh, and then there's the big leaf maple, but I know that you don't have that, so take that off the table. Yeah, so I'm just wondering if you happen to know what type of maple syrup. So let's see here. Oh, eMusic, you've been here since the beginning of the show, so you know what we're doing. And lots of maple syrup in, sugar maple, Ann says, lots of maple syrup in your area as well, which makes sense. Wisconsin, Minnesota, I mean, both have been known to be a bit on the chilly side during the winter. So, okay, so Cindy's telling me grandparents were in Rhode Island, your auntie has the condo in DC, and the farm is in Vermont. Okay, so there was actually a reason why I was thinking all of those different places. There was a method to my madness for once. Got it. Okay, but the farm was in Vermont. And yeah, that is true, Darlene. It's not just big leaves. That is one huge tree. Yeah, I don't know because I'm not from where they're from, but do the sugar maples get to be as big as they are? Because that one maple tree, let's see, not this one, not this one right here. If you can see at the very bottom, there's a dude in a blue shirt, to give a relative size perspective. The one in the bottom, or the one that was the biggest one that was in Oregon, that was like 12 foot diameter. And when I said, so not circumference, like across, 12 feet across, that's how big the main trunk was. And so I don't think, I'm not sure if the other ones get that big, but Anne is saying that, yeah, they can get that big, which I guess makes sense because, you know, you make furniture out of them, and furniture sometimes needs big stuff. So let's see here. And Rick says you've got a big maple tree where you park your car at the cabin. You just love the sap. Not. Yeah, well, shoot, dude. Maybe, tap that tree. And, I mean, if you can get a gallon of sap and you boil it down, you'll have a little bit of syrup, right? I don't know. I mean, seems like a good idea till you cook it. Yeah, Darlene, yeah, Rick S. has a good point. Don't park under a maple tree when sapping for very sticky will end up, mess up your car for sure. Yeah, totally. Well, I've actually never noticed sap dripping out of the maple tree. And so let's see here. Cindy's saying you did take some of the Vermont trees and transplant them to the farm in Rhode Island. One was a sugar maple. This was maybe 78. Oh gosh, well, Cindy, I wonder if that tree is still, running wild and growing, because I would imagine that by now it would be totally able to produce. Obviously, I guess you need more than one tree to produce anything for sugar or for syrup, but I don't know. Seriously, after I went down the little rabbit hole for all this maple stuff, honestly, I feel like I kind of want to go find a maple tree and tap it and see what comes out. Yeah, okay, Darlene, exactly. Any little wounds in the tree, broken branch from a storm will leak sap. Yeah, it makes sense. It's their blood, basically, right? Right? Isn't it? Kind of? Sort of? And also words of wisdom, don't park under a walnut tree in the fall or you'll hail damage. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we've got, it's funny actually, there's a walnut tree at my boss's house and I do park under it quite often. Doesn't matter what time of the year, mostly because I've never seen a walnut fall from that tree ever. Because the squirrels get them before they're even ready to fall off the tree. I'll see the weird husks. I don't really know what you call the outside of a walnut. Not the walnut shell, but what's outside of the shell. The stuff. The stuff. I see that on the ground all the time from where the squirrels have chewed through and gotten the goods. But I don't think I've ever seen an actual walnut on the ground. And, the green husk. Yeah, Darlene, I guess that's what the green husk on the walnut. That's what I see on the ground. But I have truly, honestly, never, ever seen a walnut on the ground. And Vanilla Coke Pepsi, it's actually really funny to you how people from Michigan are more Canadian than some Canadians. Honestly, coming from the United States, I feel the same way about people from Minnesota, Michigan, especially the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Seriously, you're totally onto something. Not that I want to give up any of our land to Canada, but if we had to if the two countries went to the negotiating table and were like, look, you've got 50, you're gonna have to give up at least 2. I would be putting some of those northern Midwestern states on the table just for cultural reasons. God, these guys really probably would be able to fit right in. No one would even notice. So maybe just, those two will just realign the border. But I do want to keep my Minnesotas. I want to keep my Wisconsins. I want to keep the cheeses. I want to keep the hot dishes. I want to keep the hair. I want to keep the hockey hair. Canada's already got hockey hair. They don't necessarily need another source of hockey hair. Whereas the United States, see, now this would be a negotiating point, right? All right, well, if we're going to give you Minnesota, then that means we're going to lose our hockey hair. So what are you going to give us worth hockey hair in return, Canada? Right? So let's see here. So Ann Ware says, also never park for a long time outside near a walnut tree, or the squirrels will fill your engine compartment with the green, fleshy, stinky nuts. You know this from experience. Well, now, Anne, I have to give the squirrels a little bit of credit. What a great storage space, right? I mean, no rot, no mold, no mildew, nice and dry, you know, watertight. Well, maybe not watertight, but, you know, I mean, like, kind of a good, I mean, they're smart. And oh my gosh, Rick, are you serious? You get acorns in the engine compartment? I have never, ever heard of this before. And I mean, first off, we have squirrels. Trust me, we have squirrels. And we have plenty of nut trees. Like I said, we do have walnuts. And we actually have acorns too, although I've never seen an acorn on the ground. I have seen the acorns hats. I don't know what they're called. You know, the acorn hat. You know what I'm talking about. I've seen those on the ground. And we have hazelnuts. I mean, hazelnuts are a native species to our area. We've got hazelnuts everywhere. But I have never heard of anyone who's had their engine infiltrated by nuts. And Rick, honestly, I was thinking the same thing. Like, the car engine gets hot, so you think them rodents are roasting the nuts. Well, I was kind of thinking that was the case too, but then Anne did mention that she parked there for a long time, which did sort of imply they weren't getting roasted. But that was exactly where my brain went, was just like, oh, it's really brilliant. You know, you store them and they get roasted. I mean, geez Louise, right? Yeah, so you had to have a sonic beeper installed under your hood. That is so crazy. So I'm confused though. All right, so the sonic beeper under your hood, what, when, like, so it's like, so the sonic beeper is like constantly going off and it just keeps them away? Is that what you mean? Or does it make a noise when something goes in the compartment? I'm very confused about the sonic beeper, but it sounds like it's working, so we're good to go. Let's see here. And, so Cindy Krause, under a banyan tree in Hawaii, not good to park either. Well, what falls off the banyan trees? Because what falls off the banyan trees? I didn't know that was a risk. Yeah, I'm very confused, Cindy. I mean, why wouldn't you want to park under a banyan tree in Hawaii? So let's see here. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, I wouldn't mind being an American in Canada, I guess. Oh, you wouldn't mind being American, period. Canada really doesn't have anything going for them. Well, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for that, I guess, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, but sometimes it's better just to, like, not have anything going for you. Because when you get the wrong things going for you, that's the wrong way to go, and we'll just leave it at that. And eMusic, the whole upper area was part of the Ojibwa territory going into Canada. Yeah, actually, and I think that there's still... I think that there's a reservation up in that area that spans both Canada and the United States. The border actually, like, goes through the reservation. And the reason why I say this, and boy, I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, this is like third-hand information, so anybody and everybody, fact check, ignore, point and laugh, however you want to deal with this. Deal with that. But what I think, if I remember correctly, my boss's husband, back in the day, he was drafted into the Army right at the end of the draft in the 70s, you know, early 70s. And one of his draft mates in his group, you know, whatever they're called, he was a native, he was indigenous from the reservation in the upper Midwest, and that went over the border, you know, so that their reservation, their land was in both countries. And yeah, dude, like maybe a month or so into training was like, yeah, no, I'm done. So I'm going to go home. And next leave, I'm going to go home. And yeah, I'm just never going to go to the U.S. part of the reservation again. I'm just going to live north of the border on the reservation in Canada where they can't really get me. So yeah, no, I'm tired of this. And so he just went, he went back to the res, but then but the res was both US and Canada. So in going to the res, he then went to the Canada portion and was like, yeah, I'm done now. Bye. Yeah, bye. Yeah, no, we're done here. Because he just didn't want to have anything to do with the military service. So, so let's see here. Okay, so it looks like Darlene and me are both confused, but I see what Cindy is now saying. So Darlene and I were confused, like, there's no banyans that are falling out of a banyan tree. What do you mean? What she means is there's lots of birds up there in the banyan tree, and I think we all know what birds can do to cars parked underneath the banyan tree. Of course. I don't even know why I needed that explained to me, but hey, whatever. You know, you do what you gotta do, and when you have to say, explain it to me like I'm 5. Explain it to you like I'm 5. That's how we do it here. Yeah, most trees are great shade for sunny days, but bird poops form speckles. Yep, speckles and freckles. That's exactly true. That is exactly true. Gosh, you know, I wish that I had a little cache of little memes, because right now there's a perfect one. I don't know if it's considered a meme or just a single frame cartoon, but it's like a mom duck and then like a little baby duck, you know, a little kid, a mom bird and a kid bird, and they're flying, and the kid's all, I gotta go, Mom, I gotta go. And she's like, you gotta hold it until we see the next used car lot, you know, and so it was just sort of a cute little, like, you know, hold it till you get to the used car lot. Let's see here. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, lots of blue jays where you live, very annoying creatures. Yeah, we have blue jays around here too. That being said, they're not really blue jays, they're stellar jays. And stellar jays, unlike blue jays, are actually blue. So people call them blue jays. Now, I know, blue jays have a blue head, blue jays have blue feathers. Yeah, no, stellar jays are blue. Like blue. The darkest blue to the lightest blue. From their head down to their tail feathers, they are nothing but blue. I mean, so blue, they almost look purple. They're blue. And they're absolutely gorgeous birds. But, oh man, are they smart? They are cheeky. They are just little, they will, if you're camping, they will just swoop down and take the bacon right off your plate. They don't care. That's their bacon. You cooked it for them. But it's a to-go order. We're just going to swoop in, grab it, and go. But then we're going to sit on the branch and eat the bacon while laughing at you. That's what those birds do. So I'm sure that the blue jays do the exact same thing, because blue jays, like Stellar's jays, are corvids. Corvids, for those who don't know, that's what crows and ravens are. Also magpies. So yeah, a little bit smart there. Let's see here. So, eMusic, yeah, there are reservations all around here and into Canada. Yeah, there's a lot of reservations around here too. In Washington, I don't know of any of them that cross the border into Canada, which I think is kind of weird. I also think it's cool because that is the traditional lands that, you know, there wasn't a border there before, and there ain't gonna be a border there now. So that's cool, but at the same time, it does present an interesting situation for a draft dodger per se, you know, let's just say, who wants to go back home to the res and then is able to escape the United States' grips because he can still be on the res, just not that part of the res. So yeah, and Elaine, bird poop emoji. I don't know if it would translate well, but I think that the prel emoji is perhaps the closest thing we have to the bird poop emoji. So if you want to treat the prel like a bird poop emoji, you 1000% have the permission to make that prel emoji whatever it is you think the circumstance needs it to be at that time. So let's see here. Darlene and Vanilla Cokepsy are talking about how annoying the jays are and aggressive to the other birds. Darlene, you've seen them chasing other birds away from the feeders. Yeah, you know, and Ann Ware's coming in. They say that the blue jay call sounds like thief, thief, thief. They own their own naughtiness. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly it. You know, it's funny actually. So okay, you guys don't like the jays because they're kind of bullies, right? Well, I was talking to somebody else who didn't like the crows because the crows are the biggest birds in their area and they're kind of the bullies. And I had to laugh because in my area, the crows and the jays are like small birds in the pecking order, literally, I guess. Because once the seagulls show face and let everybody know that, yeah, that French fry is mine. Oh yeah, that piece of hamburger is mine. Oh, that fish stick, that entire plate of fish, yeah, that's mine. So every area has their own hierarchy of birds, as it were. But in the coastal area of the Puget Sound, 100% the seagulls are on top, and then you maybe have the crows. However, there is another interloper which shows face every once in a while because you've got the osprey, the bald eagle, and all sorts of tons of different falcons. And so talk about a bully. Shoot, I used to have a bird feeder in my front yard. I stopped though because, well, I'll tell you why I stopped. Because pretty much every day while the birds were eating their food, they got not just bullied away, but like terror flighted away, because inevitably a falcon would see, oh, look at all these birds hanging out here. And a falcon would come flying in through my yard and basically just take a bird off of the bird feeder. It's like, well, this is the feeding zone, right? And so, and you know, and any bird that was maybe too busy stuffing its beak with some thistle seed suddenly gets eaten while all of its friends go exploding into the air because they saw what was coming. They saw that shadow coming. And yeah, and so in my area, really the crows and the jays are kind of mid-level gangsters. They're definitely not the big birds on the big birds on the block. That's for the seagulls and the eagles and even the falcons. Yeah, so there you have it. Let's see. Rick, that is exactly it. Mine. That is the seagull call for sure. Looks like we've got a raid coming in. Alpha, Photo Luke. And we've got Pinnell and we've got Terry all coming in, I'm assuming from Terry's bus ride to Lord only knows where. Good to see you, Photo Luke. Good to see you, Alpha. Good to see you, Pinnell. And eventually I'll say good to see you, Terry, once I see Terry, but I'm not going to say hi to Terry till I see Terry. But you can let Terry know that I said hi to Terry, and I'll tell him later when I see him. 'Cause that's how that works. Yeah, all right, Raiders. So we're talking about, right now we're talking about the pecking order of birds in all of our neighborhoods. And some people think the jays are the big bullies. Some people think the crows are the big bullies. I think the seagulls are the big bullies, except for when the real gangsters show up. And those gangsters, of course, would be the birds of prey, be it the eagle, the osprey, or the falcon. I suppose now that I think about it, the osprey isn't anybody to worry about because he only eats fish. So he isn't really that much of a bully to other birds. But I do have an osprey that lives in my neighborhood, and I do enjoy listening to the osprey. And vanilla Coke Pepsi, yeah, you mentioned loons, and loons are king, and you like the soothing sounds of the loons. I don't even know if I've heard a loon before. In fact, I don't even know what a loon looks like. There's Terry in Scotland. Hi there, Terry in Scotland. I told everybody to say hi, and that I would eventually say hi. So now I'm saying hi. How's it, my friend? Good to see you. Yeah, so there you go. You want a pet loon, but it's illegal. But what? Okay, so they're waterfowl. I thought they were waterfowl. Are they big? I'll Pinnell. Do you know how sometimes someone says something that's so obvious and you feel like a idiot? Pinnell, look at a loony. Well, why would I look at a loony? I mean, it's not like there's a loon on it or anything. I mean, it's not like they nicknamed the coin after the loon on it or anything. Okay, yeah, I know what a loon is. Never mind. I know what a loon is. And the bad word function is hiding the word loon? That is weird. I don't know why. I guess maybe it's a thing that, I don't know. Yeah. I guess it's a slur that I don't know of, so maybe we'll just, sorry, we're talking about the bird. So let's see here. Darlene, eagles when up north are flying about, and it's funny, suddenly very quiet. There's no bunnies around or small birds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the birds know when the other birds are around. And, so bald eagles, they're pretty tough, but golden eagles are even more tough. Now, you know how I said, like, that the seagulls are the bully birds in my area? Even the seagulls give respect to the California eagles. In fact, the California eagles, sometimes they hunt the seagulls. And yeah, I've seen them playing, tossing. There was two of them, two California eagles that were like, they came in, they swooped. There was a flock of seagulls, not the band with the bad hair, but actually a flock of seagulls. And came in, swooped one, and they started playing catch with it. They, injured it in the thing. They started playing catch with it. And the whole rest of the flock was just like, the heck, you are going to steal our friend. So the whole seagull flock started to try to attack the two bald eagles. But the bald eagles could fly higher, faster, stronger than the flock could. And then eventually the flock was like, oh, it's too late to do anything now. And yeah, the bald eagles, dude, they went and hunted a seagull, and then they had some dinner. Maybe it was a lunch. Either way. So loons have black and white feathers and red eyes. I'll definitely have to go look at a picture of them. Okay, so Anne's saying loons are the Minnesota state bird. Minnesota is kind of Canada. Yeah, totally, dude. Minnesota, we might... America might lose our hockey hair. If we have to negotiate with Canada, Minnesota just might have to go over to the other side, Anne. I mean, I don't want to lose the hot dish, but between the loons and the sugar maples and the everythings, I feel like maybe Minnesotans they just want to be Canadians. Yeah, totally. Let's see here. Oh, that's such a bummer, Rick. You enjoy watching loons at the cabin in spring, but they eventually get overcrowded out by the speedboats and leave for quieter waters. That would annoy me. And Elaine, we definitely have a lot of loonies here, but none of them are birds, and I am the number one loony without a doubt. And yeah, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, I do know that they're known for their call, but I really don't, and I'm about to say something that is probably wrong, but I don't think there's any loons in Western Washington. Now, the moment I'm done with this stream, you better believe I'm about to go down a rabbit hole looking for loons. And I'll probably find out I'm wrong. But I really don't think, I don't think we got loons out here. So, let's see here. Vanilla Coke Pepsi. America, why do you want to be us so bad? We don't. Trust me, it's just the northern parts. It's just the northern parts. And it's not that they want to be Canada, it's just that they have to because they share your weather. See, but trust me, dude, if you go down to Florida or Texas, they don't want to be Canada. I promise you. In fact, if you go down to Florida or Texas, my best guess is half those people wouldn't even be able to tell you where Canada is. And I actually don't really mean that as an insult to Florida or Texas. I just mean that as an insult to the American education system. And then they're so far from the border. I mean, I've been amazed at how stupid people are in regards to maps. I love maps, right? And so it's like, well, how do you not know where Canada is? Apparently, a lot of people might not know where Canada is. I mean, a lot of people can't even identify the United States of America on a map. And by a lot of people, I mean American citizens. And sure, I saw these things on television where I'm sure it was selectively edited to show the stupidest people. But still, there were people that were that stupid that they were able to find to put on the TV show. So it's still, my statement stands. Some people don't even know what America looks like, what the United States of America looks like on a map. And Americans even took our iconic phrase, "Let me scooch right past you there, bud." Well, see, now, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, I don't know about that. Now, this... okay. This is going to get into a regional situation, I think. And perhaps what we've got here is a failure to understand that the Midwest, even if it's not close to the Canadian border, the Midwest, I'm not from the Midwest, but I know a lot of people who are from the Midwest, and I feel like the Midwest lays claim on scooch and ope. So that scooches past you. I believe that someone in Ohio, in Indiana, that's just as much their language as it is Canadians' language. Now, I am not one of those Midwestern people, so I cannot speak for the Midwestern people, but the people that I know from the Midwest, I feel like they would come out fighting for their words. And I can tell you right now, ope is a Midwest word. I mean, I can think of two Midwesterners who will they'll scrap you for your coat over ope being a Midwest word. They'll just scrap you just to settle that argument. Ope is a Midwestern word. Might also be a Canadian word. So you guys are going to have to discuss where the border is in the Midwest. But Midwest and Canada, I think, have a lot more in common than anybody wants to admit. Yes. And Rick, they can't read a map and can't drive. It's all people younger than me. Well, that is true. It is people younger than me because, yeah, paper maps are non-existent these days, which frustrates me to no end because I like to see the bigger picture. So, you know, I want to see where I'm going. I don't want to see just the tiny little ope. You know, like instead like nope, but only without you know, ope. It's sort of like an oops, but it's pronounced ope. You know, like nope, N-O-P-E, only it's O-P-E, ope. Ope. I just elbowed you with, you know, I just elbowed you. Ope. You know, just the ope. That I know is a Midwestern thing. Might not be a Minnesota thing. It might have skipped that state. Canada might have taken all the ope out of Minnesota. But they didn't take all the ope, because still some settled to the bottom. And those Indiana Midwestern people, those Ohio Midwestern people, are all about the ope. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you can call assault on a minor, but they're not gonna they're not gonna travel to Canada. They're not gonna travel to Canadiaville just over this. But if they were on the internet, it would be an internet argument to last for threads upon threads. Screenshots would be taken, and there'd be indecency reports to, you know, Twitch for violations of openness. That's right. And then Twitch will just be like, oh, nothing I can do. Because Twitch is actually from the Midwest as well. Oh, actually, I don't think Twitch is from the Midwest, but I was just making that up. But I do think that they would say, oh, nothing we can do. Yeah, so Terry, you're going to your Switch. I don't know what that is, so I'll let you go to your Switch. And you like maps though, Terry, but you were a history major. That's cool. Yeah, okay, so Ann Ware, you use O, not the ope. And yes, Canada stole Minnesota's ope. That's it. That is exactly it. Oh, hey, Andre, good to see you. Got home, and it's early enough. Yep, we're still here for another couple minutes. And you've got internet fast enough now that you don't even have to worry about that gear. But as it turns out, since you got fast internet, we always seem to get the gear. So, win-win, I guess. You get the fast internet and everybody else gets to downgrade if need be. And oh, you're talking about Switch. I don't really know what a Switch is, but it's a video game thing. And Luke and you have a rendezvous in Fortnite. Oh, fantastic. Yes, yes. You know, oh, and maybe you've just been dropping your P's and saying it wrong. Well, you know, I'm not going to say that you've been saying it wrong because I am not a Midwesterner. What I do know, though, is when my Midwestern friends joke about all the things, it's like, you know, you're a Midwesterner when, my dad, you see, was from Indiana. And so there are quite a few verbal traits, phrases, whatever, that I've picked up from him. And I've been constantly amazed by, like, how Midwestern apparently I am with some of my language, because I say ope all the time. And apparently I was, you see, now Vanilla Coke Pepsi is saying only a Canadian can challenge to scrap, foreigners can't. All right, that's cool. But I can tell you that a Midwesterner will challenge a Pacific Northwesterner when I say I use the word ope, and they tell me, that's not your word to use. That's a Midwesterner word, and you're not a Midwesterner. So they fully believe that ope is theirs. I promise you. Yes. Yeah, and you surprisingly right. Okay, so Vanilla Coke Pepsi is saying that he surprisingly speaks with a lot of Southern phrases. Yeah, I actually, well, between my dad being from the Midwest and having that whole language, my grandpa on my mom's side was from Scotland, and so he had a whole host of colorful phrases. And so I've got a lot of random sayings up my sleeve that I grew up with. And I actually had a couple people from Texas wonder, where are you from, girl? Because you talk like a Southerner. And oddly enough, I was actually using a Scottish phrase, but I guess there's a lot of Scottish folk in the hill country of Appalachia back in the day. So, you know, I guess the phrases stuck or something. And oh, Pinnell, so you're arguing. I've never heard ope. Canada does not have the claim on ope, Pinnell is saying. Well, okay, actually, that's not what Pinnell said at all. What Pinnell actually said was, I never heard ope. I then added all that. But Anne, she's coming in. You can say whatever you want. I give you permission, don't you know? You betcha! Excellent. I'm glad to have a Midwesterner's permission, even if it's one who doesn't use the word ope. And let's see here, Andre, I'm from California, 3rd generation, so we got all kinds of languages in your talk, Scotch, Irish. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and Cindy, exactly. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, shoot, talk about Southern phrases. I think that Hawaii is probably the southernmost Southern that we have in the United States. So for sure, you should throw down some pigeon phrases. And I have no doubt in my mind that your people will look at you like, do we need to call him a doctor? Is he having a seizure? Is that a stroke? I don't think he's speaking French. He's not speaking English, though. What do we do with that? I think that's what's going to happen if you speak Pidgin. But still, I want you to speak Pidgin. And Rick, yes, exactly. Check out Lono's song Ukulele on Molokai 2008 live CD, Lono with Eric on mandolin. I don't know, Rick, if that is a readily available CD, but for those of you who are willing to maybe, push some Lono request buttons, you might be able to get that copy of that Lono album. And I have to say, the live Lono album from Molokai 2008 that Rick is referring to with Eric on mandolin has, in my opinion, the best version of Hi'ilave ever to be recorded, ever. So everybody can just stop now, because it's been done the best, and it will never be better than that. And that's my ruling. That's my ruling. You hear sorry lots. Yeah, Pinnell, not surprised about that. Darlene, to me, languages for all. Anyone can speak how they'd like. Yes, there you go. And Vanilla Coke Pepsi, right. Everyone speaks French there. So if you threw down with some Hawaiian Pidgin, they wouldn't even know what in the flying fork you would be doing. Like, they would think you're having a flippin' stroke. And his rendition is lovely. Well, and here's the thing, Anne, with the Hi'ilave song. First off, I thought that Lono's version, just alone, was better than a lot of the other versions. The way he does the little kick to the guitar part is just, oh God, it's so good. But then when you add the mandolin on top of it, holy flirking snit. I couldn't believe it. That the live with Eric on that CD, on that download, whatever, is just so amazing. Now, this is not an album that you can order off of Lono's website easily. He doesn't have a link to it. You pretty much are going to have to basically email him directly to ask him for it. And if you're afraid to do that, don't be, but I can also do it for you. Shoot me an email, madstatter@gmail.com, and I can definitely let Lono know. Whoever it is that might be interested in downloading that download, it will probably cost $20 like all of his other downloads, but it's totally worth it. It's a CD that's, 15, 16 songs long. It's all live recordings, but it's amazing. Amazing versions of songs that you would have heard on some of his other albums. So yeah, if you are interested in the 2008 Lono with Eric on mandolin album, it's sort of available. You kind of have to know people, but you do know people. You know me. So we can get it to you if you need. Shoot me a little email or a Twitch whisper if you're interested, and we can see if we can get the party started. Yeah, and let's see here. So, Andre, man, you're speaking a lot of Spanglish these days. You have a lot of Spanish-speaking children in your classroom, and your Spanish is bad, their English is bad, so you meet in the middle. Yeah, totally, dude. You do what you got to do. And I'm kind of surprised that actually, I guess, yeah, you probably learned Spanish much in the same way I've learned Spanish, which is like by osmosis in our community, by looking at like signs. You're just like, okay, well, there's the English version of the sign and there's the Spanish version of the sign. So they kind of, they're saying the same thing. So that Spanish phrase kind of means that in English. Okay, remember that word. I didn't know that. Okay, I sort of learned a little bit of Spanish today. That's basically how I have learned Spanish, and my best guess is it's probably how you've learned a lot of Spanish too. And Darlene, yeah, it's funny at times you've spoken a few Polish words mixed in with English. That's how Grandma and your grandparents spoke. Yeah, well, and actually, a lot of America does this with Yiddish. You know, even though a lot of America is not German or Jewish. I meant to say Jewish. And Yiddish is not even part of our cultural speak. You know, there's a lot of Yiddish words that we use in our everyday language. Tukis, you know, schlep, schmaltz. I mean, there's just a lot of random Yiddish that we've got mixed in with English. So let's see here. Okay, so Rick, 20. Okay, so it's 20 tracks on Lono's Molokai Live. Excellent. Pinnell, Lono does sell physical CDs, not of this one. I mean, I guess he could burn it for you. He does sell physical CDs. Most of his albums all of his albums are available for download, and some of his albums, I have a list somewhere, but not off the top of my head. Some of his albums that he can sell the CDs for are actually CDs that have been printed by legitimate, you know, printer and liner notes, the whole fancy pants thing. But some of his CDs, he has run out of those, and so he actually just literally burns you a copy of a CD. So it's literally just a CD that he burned for you, that you would be getting. But you have to ask him for that, because most of the time he assumes people just want the downloads. And that's easy for him to do. He just sends, by the way, when you're ordering music from Lono, you're not going to get a download instantly. This isn't Apple Music. You're literally ordering, and Lono gets an email that says someone ordered this CD. And then he goes and it's like, I am physically sending you this CD, or I am physically, you know, I'm emailing you this download to download. And sometimes it might take him 24 hours to get back to you. And then, but you'll get an email from him with a link to download the album. Or conversely, if you've made it clear in your order, there's a little note that you can say, I want the real CD, please send it to this address. He'll burn that CD for you and mail it for you, to you. So yes, he does. So if you buy the physical CD, some CDs are going to look like CDs that, like, oh dude, I just bought this at a record store. You know, they'll look like that. But some of the CDs that you're going to get for them are going to look like, well, my brother just got this bootleg off this dude in a back alley. But either way, it's actually a Lono legit. It's as legit of a Lono CD as exists. But you definitely can get a CD. Like I said, and as Rick is pointing out, it is a special request because he just assumes people want to download these days. But he does do it. Schmuck, yes, Andre, schmuck, another Yiddish word that we use. And Cindy Krause, most of the kids in elementary school here are bilingual. They translate for parents and grandparents. Yeah, that nothing about that surprises me. I wouldn't say that most kids here are bilingual, but I would say, and when I say bilingual, I mean to the degree that they would be translating for parents or grandparents. But I do think that most kids these days are vaguely bilingual in the sense that they have friends who have family members who only speak Spanish, and so they pick it up here and there. You know, they're maybe not fluent, but they can do Spanglish kind thing. And then Ann Ware, verklempt, another Yiddish phrase, exactly. And Andre points out, yeah, it's bad. More Yiddish is spoken in the United States than in Europe because of the Eastern European Jewish populations being lost in World War II. Yeah, totally. There you have it. And where the audio quality of his digital albums, of Lono's digital albums, is better than music from iTunes. iTunes music is usually a lesser audio quality to save file space. I didn't know that. I don't have iTunes. I don't do that. So I wasn't aware of that. But that is super awesome to know. And Pinnell, right, oy vey, another Yiddish phrase that we definitely are familiar with here in this country, totally. And and so speaking of iTunes and downloads, etc., not only is the quality of the tune better from when you get it directly from Lono, as opposed to, you're also paying the artist directly for the work that they created. Whereas iTunes, you know, if you're going to download a song for $2, the artist might get 3 cents. 3 cents out of $2. Whereas if you're buying directly from Lono, Lono's getting all that money. And to me, it just is, it's an unsustainable way for the music industry to run itself. On the other hand, it is one of the most ethical ways that you can purchase your music these days, because right now with the whole Spotify, Joe Rogan brouhaha, the discussion about how artists are getting paid, how much they're getting paid, who's getting paid for what, is coming back to the forefront of the conversation. And it's becoming increasingly clear that, you know, all of these streaming services are not paying artists what artists need to be paid. And so, you know, you might as well get a better quality sound and pay the artist if you can. Not to mention also, and this I can tell you with certainty, you cannot get Lono's songs off of iTunes. You cannot get them off of Spotify. You cannot get them off of Google Play. You cannot get them anywhere except for through Lono. Now, you might be able to find an album or two on eBay, etc., and somebody's selling it because they're a private seller. Fine, there's that. But in regards to organized distribution, no. You're going to get it. Lono sells his music. Period. End. Stop. Lono is the one who sells Lono's music. No one else. Period. So, you know. And then, okay, so Anne, some music from iTunes can be purchased with lossless audio quality, but it's not an option for most. That totally makes sense. So, let's see here. Darlene, it was very nice of Lono a while back. Some of the digital albums we wanted, he burned us to play on your long car rides up north. He was really nice and did burn a couple for you. Yeah, I remember I coordinated that with him. In fact, actually, Darlene, it's funny you should say that. It was, I helped to coordinate that with Lono, and in doing so, learned how to explain to other people how they too can request that. Because you're not the only people who have asked him for that. And so when people oftentimes, I think it's maybe they're just too intimidated to contact Lono directly and ask or something. I don't know. But I've had several people contact me like, hey, I want this, but I don't know. Because on the website, there isn't really an option. And basically, it is true on the website, there's not really an option to order a CD. But the system that Lono and I kind of came up with, and that he agrees is the best system, is if you are going to buy something off of his website and you want the actual CD, not the download, all you have to do is order as though you're going to get the download, and then in the special instructions box, say you want the CD and give him the address to mail the CD to. And then he'll know what it is that he needs to do, and he will then get back to you and let you know, probably what the tracking number is once he gets that package in the mail. So even though the website is not obvious about how to get the CDs, that's how you do it. So there you go. And it looks like Andre just did a 5-pack of subs, which is super awesome. Thank you so much. And August Ash Deefy 123, I think you're hysterical. Never would I buy a Prime or a sub or viewer or whatever. That's just the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. So you are someone that should be pointed and laughed at. But instead of pointing and laughing at August for putting a silly spam ad on this feed, we are 4 minutes past the bottom of the hour, so we are going to wrap this up. Feel free to do the Nelson haha emotes if you wish. Thank you so much, Andre and everybody else who donated subscriptions and biddies, etc. Thank you so much, Pinnell. I believe it was Pinnell who was asking about the Lono CDs. I hope that you do take the leap and get him to get you a CD thrown in your direction. Okay, he's not going to throw it. He's going to mail it. And there you go. So, okay. And then Rick does point out Lono does pay a lot for shipping from Hawaii. So maybe consider that for the tip jar. That's true. On Lono's website, there is like ways that you can donate. I think $10 is like the lowest one that you can press, but I think you can custom amount lower than $10 if you want. So yeah, I encourage you guys to go to lonomusic.com. Not only is that where you're going to get all of his albums for sale, but he also provides, in a different section on his website, the lyrics and chords to a lot of his songs. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And he also has little notations. For the Hawaiian songs, he has English translations, but then also sometimes he's even got like commentary or like, hey, here's a random book that you should check out that this song was inspired by or whatever. I call it a workbook, but it's the chords and lyrics section. And honestly, the chords and lyrics section is an incredibly useful resource when learning learning Lono songs, learning the Hawaiian language, and learning Hawaiian history. So yeah, I can't even begin to encourage folks to look at that chords and lyrics section, because a lot of effort was put into it, and there is a lot of information there for everyone to learn from and to use as a springboard for further scholastic pursuits, as it were. Yes. So there you have it. And Pinnell, you figured you'd pay for shipping. Well, actually, from my understanding, the $20 includes the shipping. But as Rick said, when you are sending things from Hawaii, it's going to be expensive. So if you did want to throw in a couple extra bucks, I have no doubt in my mind that Lono would be forever grateful. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Lono for the music today. I want to thank Andre, and I want to thank everybody else who did the biddies and the subs, and I want to thank Darlene, and I want to thank Elaine for throwing up the Nelson ha-has, because that is exactly what we needed right there. And I hope you guys have the rest of your evening, and I hope that it is as sweet as maple syrup. All right, y'all. I will catch you on Saturday, and I can't remember. We're going to watch A League of Our Own. A League of Their Own is what we're going to be watching on Saturday. Statterbox at the cinema, 6 p.m. West Coast time, 4 p.m. Hawaii, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. There we have it, Rabbit. Take care. I'll see you soon.